Hey, church friends and family, thank you for joining us tonight. As you can see, I got a special guest speaker with me this evening. We just want to say that we miss you guys and love you and hope that we get to see you again soon in person, and whenever things aren't so chaotic. We're thankful, though, that we have the ability to be able to do this. And I hope you're at home, you're safe, and you're healthy. Um, Again, I'd like to ask you if you have any prayer requests to put the prayer request in the comments and private message me. Also, if you or your family has a need, if you need some groceries, let me know. We've got a small amount at the church that we'd love to be able to help some people out with. So we've already helped out several. Continue to get with us and let us know about those. And today, Mendy's message is in Luke 10:38 through 42. It's about Martha and Mary. So it's all on you.
Well, Nathan asked me a couple weeks ago to share a message that I was talking to him about because I was supposed to share the message at the women's luncheon, and I had a message together. And this morning, when we started talking about this, God changed the message. He showed me a post that I made 2 years ago on Facebook, and I thought, that must be where I'm supposed to be today. So 2 years ago on Facebook, my memories popped up today, and it said, "Are you Mary or Martha? Are you focused on Jesus or caught up in the world around you? Do you spend as much time reading God's Word as you do on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, etc.? We need to slow down and choose to be like Mary. We need to be focused on Jesus. This is something the Lord spoke to me today, and He urged me to share with you." That was my Facebook status 2 years ago on this day in 2018. And so today, as I was praying about what it was that He was wanting me to say to you was, are you a Martha or are you a Mary? Today, this virus has slowed a lot of us down. Maybe not slowed us down, because I know Nathan is on the go, 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 go all the time. And even though I'm at home working from home, I've been here at the church working for school work since 10 o'clock this morning, and it's 3:15. So I've been working most of the day as well. We can still find ourselves busy doing things that are just that, keeping us busy. So I'm going to read out of my Bible here, and it's the ESV version of the story. It says, "Now as they went on their way, Jesus entered a village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she went up to him and said, 'Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Tell her then to help me.' But the Lord answered her, 'Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the good portion, which will not be taken away from her.'" So as I was studying this and wrote some things down, we need to notice that Mary sat at the feet of Jesus. So Mary was sitting at the feet of Jesus, and she was listening. Are you listening to God today? Sometimes we get so busy in life. I know even as a couple, and we've almost been married 25 years, sometimes even when we're sitting next to each other, we're not listening to each other. Dear.
Huh?
So sometimes I might be carrying on a conversation with him, and he's distracted. So even though we have maybe slowed down our life, are you distracted? Are you distracted by something? Are you busy like Martha, serving instead of listening? Sometimes it's hard to listen to God, isn't it? Because sometimes we don't like what He's asking us to do. There was a time when Nathan and we felt the call into youth ministry, and at that time I was like, Lord, my passion is, and where I felt I was called was with little kids, and I drug my feet into being into youth ministry because that's where the Lord had called Nathan. And I'm going to tell you, those were some of the best times of my life was during those times. But, if it was me, I wouldn't have done it. But because God asked me to do it, then I went in and got in there and did it. And then I was shown, what a wonderful thing it was. And like I said, those were some of the best times of our lives, was when we were in youth ministry. But it's Mary sat at the feet and listened to Jesus, and she listened to his teaching. So that means, today we don't have Jesus here to teach us, but we have his word. So we need to make sure that even though, we think that we're spending more time with him, that we are really digging into God's word. I'm very guilty of, maybe looking at it, something here and there, but not digging into his word. And that's one thing that he has been really convicted me of, is making sure that I am studying, not just listening, but studying as well. And Martha was distracted by serving. How many of us can get distracted by serving? Because that's, one of the things I try to be behind the scenes and do a lot of serving that way. I don't like people to know when I do something. I try to do it to where no one knows. I'm one of those kind of people, but I like to serve. And I like, like Martha, she was serving. Serving doesn't necessarily mean just, making a meal or those type of things. You could be serving in places in church, but are you still listening to God? There's lots of places to be serving, but you still have to listen to God. Like, you can be.
I think for like me, sometimes I can serve and be distracted at the same time and realize, like, much like Martha, and serving is great. We all have to do it, but you have to be cautious and know what's the most important thing going on at the time, and that's what Mary was doing.
Jesus was the most important thing at that time. Jesus was there to teach, and Mary was there to listen, and Martha was busy. So we got to make sure that when the Lord is trying to teach us something or talk to us, that we aren't too busy going, oh, we're going to do this instead, serving somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like you said, we've got to make sure that we're not busy in ourselves, and serving is good. Serving is something that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to serve God. So, when Martha went, she was kind of like a little kid. I was thinking of my children. Sometimes I ask them, will you please go do this? Or will you please get the laundry out? Or will you go do the dishes? And they'll say, well, why can't the other one do it? And that's kind of what Martha was saying. Hey, Jesus, listen, I'm over here doing all this stuff. Why is Mary not? Will you please tell her she needs to do that? And, a lot of times the kids will play us that way sometimes, too. I might tell them to do something, and they'll be like, well, I might tell Levi something, and he'll say, well, why can't Katie do that?
Our kids never argue either, so they're perfect angels.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that is not right.
Or when Jacob was at home, Jacob would say, I'd ask him to do something or Katie to do something, and they would say, well, why can't the other one do that? And that's why I kind of feel like, sometimes Martha was just kind of like, Lord, listen to me, I need some attention here, but Mary was doing what she was supposed to be doing. And what does Jesus say there? Let's look at that. He says, Martha, Martha, you are anxious. A lot of us are anxious today, aren't we, with this coronavirus going around? Some of us, our anxiety levels are high because we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't, we're anxious because we don't want to get this virus. We want to make sure that we're doing everything we can do. I know the kids have. I'm a little OCD about it. I spray everything down. I have not let Levi and Katie out of the house except for Katie to go to work and come up here. And that's, those are things that we're anxious about this right now. And there's other things you can be anxious about. Or, like a lot of times right now there's no pay coming in. Or you may have lost your job and are laid off right now and you're anxious about how am I going to get those bills paid? There's a lot of things. Or how am I going to feed my kids? There's a lot of things people are anxious with today. And that's kind of the Lord is saying, you are anxious and you're troubled, because some of those things can make us troubled too. But Mary was doing the one thing necessary in that time. And what was Mary doing? She was listening to Jesus and focusing on him. And that's what we got to do today, is we've got to focus on Jesus during this time, because, there's so much in this world. If you continue to watch the news, like I've had to turn the TV off because it's depressing to watch all the stuff going on in the news. And there's so many people that, even Jacob at times at first was like, Mom, quit telling me this, because I would be on his case all the time too, even though he didn't live at home, about this virus and how to protect himself. So, we have to make sure that we're not too anxious and we're not too troubled. And we lay those things at the Lord's feet, and let him take them. I know a lot of times I lay them at his feet and then I pick them right back up and carry them with me. We got to make sure when we lay it down there, we lay it down there for him to take care of it. And Mary was listening while Martha was busy. So let's make sure that we take that time to not be so busy that we're listening to what God is telling us today. Right now he might be telling you to mend that broken relationship that you had, because, we aren't promised tomorrow. We're not even promised the next minute, the next second of today. You might have a broken relationship with God or himself. So maybe it's time that you sit down and lay all those burdens and all those troubles at his feet, because sometimes we can get that way. Even in ministry, we can get that way. I question God a lot of times. Why? Even if you're in ministry, things come our way. And so make sure that if you're troubled or anxious, that you're laying those down at his feet and you're laying them there and not picking them back up. Because, like I said, that's one of my bad habits, is maybe to lay them down there, but then I'll say, oh, let me have those back. So.
Like I've got some family too that has anxiety problems, and you might be one of those people that already deal with some anxiety in your life, and this particular event has just got you on edge. And I just want to encourage you, because this has got people who normally don't have anxiety issues anxious. So, just hang in there. And like Mendy said, now is a time to lay your burdens at the feet of Jesus, and he'll get us through this. I mean, that's the truth of it, is that this is like a season. I talked to Joanne Warren. I had a little video interview with her, and she reminded me, just like in the seasons, this will pass. This will be one thing that in the future we'll be talking about it. And this may change things for us drastically on how we do business and how we do gatherings and things like that. Definitely is affecting us in that way right now. But who
the
knows?
future may be changed.
Yeah, we don't. 9/11 changed the way that we fly, and so many different things were changed because of that. So we're just going to have to, really accept some of the changes that are coming right now, and just trust God that he's going to provide for us throughout it. So again, we just want to encourage you guys, stay safe, stay healthy, continue to do everything that CDC is asking you to do, wear your face mask in public and things like that. But, it's a season, so it'll pass. Let's do the things necessary to protect ourselves and to protect our family. And, right now it's hard not to sit there and be on Facebook all day. It's tough because, what's the rest of the world doing? And you can scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll.
Or you're outside some, so I'm like, what's everybody else doing? Mm-hmm. I need some interaction here.
Well, I know I looked at Facebook the other day because it can show you how many hours. It showed that I had at least been on there for over 2 hours. I was like, that's horrible. Even in this time, that's 2 hours I could have spent in the Bible, 2 hours I could have been spending with my family, 2 hours I could have been doing something more important than scrolling through. So it's tough. Set aside your time that you're going to be able to get on that, because I understand this is our only social activity and interfacing right now, but also reserve time to do that. What Mendy's saying, get into the Word, spend some time praying, call up a friend, pray with them. Maybe go out and mow a neighbor's yard that can't do it themselves. Now's the time to really not dig into Facebook, but dig into God's Word and really dig into what God is telling you to do during this time. So.
But Facebook is also good too, because there's so many things on there. So it's not. We're not saying not to get on there, but
just make sure you're not spending your life there.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be over, and I'm praying that we don't continue to live in this place. That we get out and we and start actually enjoying our fellowship with one another again. So, again, we're praying for you. If you need anything, contact me or Mendy at the church. I'll go ahead and give you my direct number is 918-639-8975, and that is how you get into the church and to me directly. If you need anything for your family, please let us know. Again, we love you. Have a blessed day.